This is Michael Mastro with Transformational Vedic Astrology, and today we're going to look at the chart for Tiger Woods, born December 30th, 1975, in the late evening at Long Beach, California. And if you were to look at the eastern horizon when he was born, you would see the constellation associated with Virgo rising at 0 degrees and 53 minutes. This becomes the most effective point of every house, and any planet like Moon, like Venus, like Rahu and Ketu, like Mercury, that's within 5 degrees of this rising sign degree has a lot of impact in the chart, positively or negatively. So we're going to first look and see how the planets are operating. And then we're going to see when they're operating, because not everything happens at once. And then we'll look at and see what would be the remedies for this chart. As many of you know, Tiger Woods is probably one of the most famous golfers of all time, one of the wealthiest. So he just, after 8 years of not winning a tournament, he just won another tournament. So kind of a comeback. So let's just look and see. Now, for Virgos, we know that any Multicona sign that falls in the 6th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house, which these are Multicona signs are 1, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 11. So these are all Multicona signs. So the ruler of the 11th sign of Aquarius is Saturn. Saturn becomes functional malefic. The ruler of the first sign of Aries is Mars. That becomes functional malefic. The ruler of the 5th sign, Leo, is Sun. That becomes functional malefic, along with Rahu and Ketu, which are malefics for every chart. Malefic does not necessarily mean that it is bad or causes harm, but it can. The rest of the planets are benefic. They are not necessarily great, but they can be great in somebody's chart. And that's how we want to look and see how the planets are operating. So Sun, we just said, is malefic. It's at 15 degrees. It is ruling the 12th house of spiritual growth and losses, expenses, separations, addictions, sleep issues. It's placed in the house of home and happiness, happiness through home life, property. So it says that Sun is also representing father. So he got pretty good support from his father, spiritual support and support for his career. At a very young age of like 3, I think his father bought him golf clubs and started having him focus on golf. It became like an addiction. Like that was the main thing that he focused on his whole life, to perfect his craft of golfing. But at some points in his life, it also created some losses and addiction, losses of the family, got a divorce, got addicted to painkillers and sex. And so I wanted to say something about this chart right away is, although there are a lot of malefics, most all of his planets are very well placed. They may be some strong or weak, but they're all very well placed. So this gave him good success in his career. Moon is at 28 degrees. It's ruling the house of income, placed in the house of entrepreneurial success. So it says that he can have income through his own efforts. Golfing is not necessarily a team sport. It can be, but it's mostly an individual sport. And it is working with the public. Moon has to do with the public. And let's see. So Mars is at 24 degrees. We know it's a functional malefic. It is in the house of good fortune, ruling the house of accidents, death-like experience, research, and windfalls. So it says that he can have windfalls through sports. Mars is sports, competition, good fortune. It's in the house of good fortune. And gives him courage also to be on his own, make his own decisions. Mars also has to do with property. I think he owns golf courses. And he also does spiritual research. He's a Buddhist. Also, Sun probably has to do with being a Buddhist. Some spiritual aspect to his life. Mercury's at 2 degrees. So any planet, I forgot to mention that Moon is more than 25 degrees. And so that when planets are more than 25, they're said to be in old age and they become weak. But it's close to the most effective point. So it still has pretty good strength. And same thing with Mercury. It's, at 3 degrees, less than 5 degrees, that says that the planet is in adolescence, so it has trouble protecting and promoting its own significations. However, it is close to the most effective point, so it has a lot of impact. So Mercury is ruling the house of life purpose, longevity, personality, name, and fame, placed in the house of investments, children, and education, and also gaming. This is the house of gaming. So Mercury gives great focus, intellect, to be successful in gaming. And his purpose, I feel, is through his success, he's able to help children worldwide with education. So there's a house of children and education. Jupiter is at 21 degrees, placed in the house of relationships, ruling the house of happiness through family and property. So, and Jupiter represents children and father. So it says that he can have happiness through family and relationships, partnerships. I think he's had the same coach since 1994. And I think this also says that he can help children. Happiness through helping children with education. Charity. Venus is at 5 degrees. It's close to the most effective point, and it is his strongest and most well-placed planet. It is ruling the house of wealth and fame, and it's placed in the house of success. And this is the house that has to do with hands. So he has wealth and fame through his hands, through the golfing. And golfing, Venus is fine arts. So golfing is not a brutal sport. It is more of a sport that has to do with finesse. So that would be where Venus comes in, giving success, wealth and fame through this entrepreneurial success and working with the public. So Saturn is at 7 degrees. Now Venus is also aspecting this house of good fortune, and which Mars is in that house. So again, bringing in that sports aspect. Mars is competition, sports, and courage. So Saturn is at 7 degrees. It's functional malefic. It's ruling the house of health and conflict and fire, theft, and cheating, divorce, and legal issues. So he did lose in some court cases. It's placed in the house of income. So I think Saturn has to do with service. And, Saturn also can create skeletal issues. So neck and back pain, knee pain. ruling this house of health. Addictions are a health issue, painkillers. So, and it also, this Saturn afflicts Venus. No, wait a minute. One, two, three. Yeah. So Saturn, affects his relationships, his back, his things like that. And Rahu and K2 are functional malefic, close to the most effective point, but not right on. They're within 3 degrees, and Rahu in this house can bring focus on fame and wealth, ambition, charisma, to be wealthy and famous, spiritual research. All of those things are possible, but remember, they are ecliptic planets. So this is also the planet of end of marriage, so that can have an effect. And he did lose fame through his addictions and an accident and things like that. So, sexual addiction, things like that. So now let's looking at the timing of events. From 1984 to 2004, he was running a Venus Dasha planetary period. Venus is his strongest planet, gave him great success and fame and wealth. His dad died and he was very close to his dad in 2006 during a Sun period. Sun is father. Sun was moving through the 8th house of death-like experiences. In 2009, he had an accident which created a neck and back issues, and it became exposed that he had multiple affairs. He ended up with a divorce and went in rehab centers for his painkiller addiction and sex addiction. Also during Sun and Rahu period. Rahu is drugs and sex and rock and roll. So let's see here, April 14th of 2019, he won a Masters after 8 years. It's kind of a comeback, and he was moving into Moon Venus period. Venus again bringing that great success, and let's see here, and also let's just look at that real quick. So 4, 14, 19. If we look at the transit chart, first, this is when his father died, I think. Let me just see here. Yeah. So, and then let's look and see about 4, 14, 19. So, again, this period of time is this is the Vimsachari Dasha, planetary periods. If we look in 2019, you see that he's in a Moon Venus period, which is very good for him. And Mars is transiting the house of good fortune, so good fortune through competition. Also, his natal planet is in that same house. Mars is, let's see what else here. Moon is in the house of income, bringing it's in its own house, transiting in its own house, and So yeah, those are the main things of the chart. So what could we do to strengthen this chart? So we want to strengthen the benefics, the weak benefics, by wearing a kavash, which is a locket containing the Devata yantras for Venus, Moon, Sun, Mercury, and Jupiter. And we want to transform the malefics, Mars, Ketu, Saturn, Rahu, Sun, by doing spiritual chants and charities. So he's been very good. He does his Buddhist chanting, and he is giving to these organizations for children and education throughout the world. So you can see how, even though he isn't, got a Virgo chart that's maybe not the best chart. His success is because he's doing the remedies automatically, and most of the planets, all the planets, are very well placed except for Rahu and Ketu. So this is the chart for Tiger Woods. If you would like to get a reading, you can go to www.vastucreations.com under services. Readings are very to the point and accurate and uplifting. And if you want to learn how to be certified as a transformational Vedic astrologer, you can go to American Institute of Vastu.com and take the astrology training. Thank you for listening.